everybody, so I'm here today with a foundation review. I've got the brand new foundation from Mario, so you might already know the Surreal foundation from Mario, but he's just released a new one because this is his natural one. This one is a little bit less luminous. This is more in between a matte and a glow, so it's not too glowy, it's not matte. It's right in the middle, which is quite a curious sort of concept for me. So I'm quite interested to see how I get on with this, especially because I've got predominantly dry skin. Will this work on me, or is this only going to work for normal to dry? I'd be really curious to find out, but I do know everything that Mario comes out with has been worth trying and has been impressive over the last year. So I really can't wait to show you this one. And I have already filmed with it, and I am actually wearing it. In fact, I've already completed my wear test, so I know exactly how this is about to go. This is definitely one to watch. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Hannah, I'm 48, I'm not a professional, I'm just somebody who absolutely loves makeup and beauty. And here on my channel I show you the latest releases, my favourite looks, and give you any beauty news you might be interested in. If you think you'd enjoy that content, I would love it ever so much if you did subscribe to my channel. But if you're already subscribed, welcome back. Thank you so very much for being here. And my skin tone in relation to trying this today, I've got fair to light skin with predominantly cool undertones that can lean a little bit neutral. I've also got combination skin, which is predominantly dry, especially now as we move into the cooler weather, predominantly dry and tricky. And I've got a slightly oily T-zone. So this should be a very interesting check to see if it works. And I hope you will enjoy it. So let's move on to my review. So before I go into this review, I just want to show you a new ring. This isn't a sponsored section. I've just been given this ring, or I was able to choose one from the She Said Yes website. And this one is particularly special because this one celebrates the bringing together of two hearts. So I absolutely love this concept, and I thought, seeing as they always ask you to share your love story, which you can do, by the way, to get a free item from their website. You can be entered into a competition and you can actually win a free item from their website doing that. But I thought, seeing as I'm always telling you about it, maybe this time in choosing this ring, I thought so much about my husband, I would share my story with you. So first of all, let me just show you this ring, because this ring is the bringing together of two hearts, which I thought was absolutely fabulous. So I chose to have a pink stone, which is my favourite, the light pink, and then I went for blue. My husband's favourite colour is yellow, but it didn't really go with the pink. So instead I went for this sort of aqua blue, so it still represents him because he does like that shade too. Anyway, so this is my ring, and I'll show you a close-up of it so you can see me opening it. And isn't it absolutely beautiful? And me and my husband do like to buy each other quite soppy gifts, so he was quite over the moon that I'm wearing a ring that really represents our partnership and the coming together of our hearts. But yes, me and my husband met, I got this in my head earlier, 23 years ago. We've been married 21 years. My husband is from Syria, and he just finished qualifying as a doctor when the Brits went out to his university and basically said, we're looking for doctors to come to the UK. And he didn't know if he wanted to work in the UK, but he did know for certain he wanted to gain more experience because he just finished, he was about to go into full-time employment in Syria. And this was an opportunity to gain some experience because they were offering basically for him to come over and spend a year shadowing a consultant in a hospital in the UK. So it was a great opportunity for him to just get that experience. So he made that decision to just come to the UK for that 1 year, for that bit of experience, good for his CV, etc. Anyway, my auntie was renting a room near the hospital. She'd recently been widowed, and that room was now available because she'd moved out of the sort of marital room, and she wanted company as well, I think, to be honest. So she was actually renting the room to a doctor already, and this doctor knew my husband and he was moving out. So when he heard that he was coming to the UK, he said, oh, I know this great place, I'm staying there, she's a lovely lady, I'll give you her details. And the outcome of that was he started renting with my auntie, and it was quite close to Christmas when he first moved in. So at Christmas, being the sort of person she is, my auntie, she said, I want the lodger to be there for Christmas. I don't want him on his own. And he came for Christmas dinner, and that's how we first met. And he met my son. I already had a young son at the time, and he was just wonderful with my son, and we just got on very well. And we developed a friendship, and that friendship went on for a good year and a half, and developed into eventually marriage. So that is the story of how I met my soulmate, who I absolutely adore. He is the rock of my life, quite genuinely. He's the kindest person I've ever met. And obviously he didn't stay here for just a year, he stayed here forever because of our relationship, which I'm forever grateful for. I truly am. If you want to know about his career, he then went on to train. He had to turn his degree from the degree he already had into a British medical degree, so he had to do a bit more training here and more qualifications. Unfortunately, that was a bit of a tough period for our lives, but anyway, he did that, and he then qualified, and he's now a GP. He decided to go down the GP route, but he also trained in A&E, so he actually works in both. He works in A&E departments in emergency medicine, but he also works as a GP for more walk-in clinical work. But anyway, that's what he does, and that's how we met, and that is the story of our connection. So I do actually have a discount code for this company anyway, by the way. I've got, I think it's 15% off. I've written it down. Yeah, 15% off you'll get with the code HAN15. This is about the 4th ring I've tried from them now. You can get all sorts of things from this company to celebrate your love, celebrate yourself. It doesn't have to be about a partnership. You just treat yourself. They got gorgeous things on there. They're not just engagement rings, and they're not necessarily always about love stories, but they have nice earrings, they have nice necklaces, and also they use stones that are so much more affordable than buying a diamond, but they give you the sparkle and the finish. So I always go for either white gold or rose gold. They tend to be my 2 options. I don't like to wear pure gold. It doesn't suit me so much. So you can choose the actual gold of the ring, you can choose the colour of the stones in the side here, and then you can choose the colour of the stones here. So you completely tailor it to your specific tastes, which I love, and it's very reasonable. It's so much more affordable than paying for a pure diamond, and it's also better for the environment, which is why I love these companies. So there we go. I've also put a link below for this actual ring if you want to find this specific ring, but obviously you can look through the website. So the discount code, the link for the ring is all below in my description. You'll find it right at the very top of my description for you. And just before I sign off from talking about this ring, my husband Gadir just wanted to say a very quick hello. So here he is.
Hello everyone. Where do I look?
You need to look there.
Oh, I'll do it again.
No, that would be funny.
Hello everyone.
Not a very experienced filmer, are you? So anyway, there he is. So anyway, hope you enjoyed our love story, and I hope you enjoy looking through the beautiful website and possibly getting one of these rings, because I think they are absolutely fabulous. And you probably see me wearing this a lot because I really do love it ever so much. Anyway, that's enough about talking about my jewellery. Time to move on to the Makeup by Mario foundation review. So let's start with this new Mario foundation. So first of all, some information on this actual foundation. This one was $48. I bought it directly from the Makeup by Mario website, which by the way delivers to me within about 4 or 5 days when I order from the UK, without particularly big shipping fees as well. So they're one of the one of the US brands that's still really good with delivery. So this is called the SURREALSKIN Natural Finish Foundation, not shiny or overly matte. This buildable formula has a natural finish and feels comfortable all day, non-drying, locks in moisture whilst increasing your skin's hydration over time, sweat and humidity resistant, non-comedogenic, dermatologist tested, fragrance free, and best for normal to oily skin. So I'm guessing super dry skin might struggle with this one because it definitely doesn't mention dry skin. So it's going to be interesting how this works on me, especially now moving into the winter. This could be better for me in the summer really, but anyway, not shiny or overly matte, buildable formula, which I think this is pretty much repeating what I've just said, isn't it? It is, yeah. What else does it say? So the shine controlling polymers in this are lightweight, and it has micro powders which provide a smooth, softly blurred effect. It also has glycerin and raspberry extract, which locks in moisture and enhances your skin's hydration. So there are some hydrating ingredients in this. We also have vitamin E, which is the antioxidant known to help protect your skin barrier. So that's the main information on this one. I will pop up a picture now of the full ingredients, quite a long list actually. I will do a quick comparison with Mario's other foundation, but I was buying warmer and neutral shades when I bought this. As if you follow me, you'll know that I no longer wear tan, so I've dropped down a shade. Plus I've switched to cool tone and not neutral, which is working better for me. So shade wise, these aren't going to be a match, but I just want to see if the consistency of these is different in any way. So this was the original one, and this is one that didn't work for me so much in the winter and worked quite well for me in the summer. Hard to believe, but this does actually work for me when I've got a bit of a tan on. It's not remotely cool, but somehow it just works. I don't know how. Maybe the colour changes on my face, because last time I tried it, I said this is not a good shade for me, and it worked. So I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what this one does today. But let's look at the consistency of this new one, which in theory should be less radiant, I think. It's definitely a bit more runny look. I know that's the wrong term. I never use the right terms. This is much more lightweight. This one's a lot thicker actually. Definitely a better shade for me I've got here though, much better. But yeah, this feels lighter, less thick, and definitely yeah, just lightweight. That's the key thing there. But radiance wise, do you see any difference? This one does look like it's a bit more radiant, doesn't it? Which it should do really. I think we're going to get less shine with this, but still both of them offer quite a natural finish. And they're both really good formulas, but I am a little bit concerned because the more sort of shiny one that should be better for my skin all year round, because it has more of a sort of dewy, well, it claims to have more of a sort of dewy consistency and finish. That one, like I said, only worked for me in the summer. It wasn't a very good one for me in the winter. Now, we're not in winter, but my skin is starting to change as it does as the temperatures drop, which means I have to change the way I apply my makeup and sometimes even change the foundations I use. So this could be a no-go for me. But I have put on my Fenty Hydrating Primer just on one side so we can see the difference, because I would imagine the side without any hydrating primer could get quite cakey today, unless this will work on me. So my areas that are dry are basically the whole of my face apart from the T-zone. So we're going to look today to see if it's going to be cakey and dry on me. I did actually pick up the Mario F1 brush. Since I'm so obsessed with the F4, this is the one recommended for concealer and foundation. So I thought I'd try this one out today. So let me put a pump. I didn't tell you the shade I've got, did I? The shade is 1C. I'll pop a picture up as well of the full shade range in this. So because this is so lightweight, I would normally be going for my Rapha brush, but this is Mario's brush. And let's face it, the F4 brush is fantastic. So you can see my nose is quite red today, so it'll be interesting to see what this does with that. So this feels very, very lightweight. It's got a bit of a fresh sort of fragrance, not particularly strong, but it's there. So as usual, I'm taking it to the centre of my face, and with what's left on the brush, go into the nose, because that's the area, T-zone and nose, where I want the least amount of product. This brush is nice actually. It's not as firm as the brushes I'm used to using, but it's so soft. So out of that one pump, I've used less than half. I've probably used about a quarter, I'd say. Let's take it up here. And I could use this smaller end, I suppose, to get around the brow, which is quite handy. This is going to become my new brush, just like the F4 took over from just about everything. This is a good brush, you know. I like it. Anyway, we're not just looking at the brush, we are mostly looking at the foundation. So keep in mind, it's going onto the side with the Fenty primer. So this is the side I would imagine it would work on the best, but it is sitting beautifully. It's like I've got absolutely nothing on my face. The coverage is minimal, I would say, with that amount that I've used. I'd say it's light at the moment, so let's see if we can take it up to medium, which is roughly what we should get. And you can see straight away I've got quite a lot more coverage. Still got this much left on my hand though, so I still haven't quite reached the halfway mark of that first pump. Now, because this says it is suitable for normal to oily, that makes me think if I apply this one too heavily, I'll be in a really high risk of caking, so I need to be careful. we've established it's buildable, but to give it a fair review, I don't think I should really build it up any more than that. You possibly could try, but I do want to give it a fair review and see if it's actually going to work for me. So you've seen how that has nearly cancelled out all the redness on my nose, not completely, but that's a lot to do with me being quite nervous about going near that area, so I might just apply a little bit more right at the end and see how it gets rid of redness here. But it is going on. It looks invisible at the moment, it totally feels invisible. I definitely have shine, so it's not fully mattifying my face. It did say, I think, didn't it, that it's not a matte and it's not, what did it say? Not shiny and not overly matte. That's exactly how I'm experiencing it actually, that it's not overly either. I'm taking about, well, a mini pump to add a bit more now to the forehead. So we're just going ever so slightly over one pump. I think that's going to be enough. I do like using this end for around the brows. I usually get another brush out to do that. I need to try this with concealer. I am actually, for a separate video today, reviewing concealer, so I'm going to give it a go, I think. If you want to see it in action with a concealer, look out for my Dolce and Gabbana concealer and eyeshadow video, because I'll try it in that one, which I'm filming today. I don't know which one's going out first at the moment. Well, I just feel like I've got nothing whatsoever on. I really do. So let's risk a little bit more around the nose area now. Do I think one side looks better than the other? I don't actually. So I probably don't desperately need a hydrating primer. In fact, I actually think it's looking a little bit cakey there, but I did apply more, whereas the side without primer isn't. So maybe it prefers not having that primer. But it's the end of the day which will really be the test, because normally skipping a hydrating primer can be the reason it goes cakey on me, whereas the hydrating primer can usually prevent that for me. I just took a tiny bit more now just to build up a little bit here. Definitely pleased with the shade match. It's a perfect match for my skin tone. I was having this chat with Rebecca, you know Rebecca Beckham, if you know you know, about shade matches, because she struggles so much because she's a bang in the middle neutral, and when you buy a neutral you never know what you're getting, and if you buy neutrals you know exactly what I mean, and I know what you mean because I've been buying neutrals for years, or my whole life, and I only recently changed to cool. And I've noticed that since I started buying cool tone only, I don't get problems with shade matches, because when I get a cool, it works. But when you go for a neutral, you can have such a problem, because one neutral will be too warm, and then you go down one and it's too cool. It's so difficult. So I'm really glad that I've switched to cool tones and found that they actually work better on me anyway, because I'm now out of that whole nightmare of buying neutrals. But if, like Rebecca, you still have to buy neutrals because that's exactly your skin tone, I really feel for you, because it's so difficult. Certainly with Rebecca, she's having to buy 2 shades all the time, doubling her costs to try and get it right for the channel, and getting criticised by some people, oh, you can't get your shade right. Well, it's the brands that don't get the shade right. For neutral people, it's not fair. Anyway, I'm going to take my Morphe sponge and just go around now, especially this side where I thought it looked a bit heavy there, get rid of any excess. At the moment, I really don't feel like it looks like I've got makeup on, and it feels like I don't. I could quite happily forget I've applied this. It just looks like my skin has suddenly got a lot more even and healthy, and the redness is gone now from my nose, and it is from this side as well. I think that's actually really, really, really beautiful. It doesn't have that instant glow that we've had with a lot of the foundations. It's not glowy like it said, but it's also not flat matte. It's right in the middle. So if you're somebody who's fed up of all these glowy ones, but you do like to look quite natural rather than a thick, heavy matte like, say, the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush that recently came out, this is quite unique because it's right in the middle of those. So, and this might actually last a bit better, especially if you've got oils that come through, because with things like the Natasha Denona and the Victoria Beckham one, which is, I love those, but your oils will come through and you'll end up with a very oily face if you've got a lot of oil. So if you've got very oily skin, they're not going to work for you, but this one just might. I think, but if this works on me, then I would suggest this might work for everyone. Dry, normal and oily. Even though it doesn't say that, I would just suggest it. But we have to wait and see, because my skin is quite dry at the moment, so we'll see how this looks by the end of the day. I will pop back into this video when I've completed my full makeup look, so you can see how all my makeup is sitting, and that'll be a good hour later, so you'll get to see how it's sitting. But then I'll pop in tonight to show you how it's worn throughout the day, so we can have a sort of final thoughts of the day anyway. Final thoughts will come in my end of month review. But I'll see you with my full face of makeup. So this is how everything is looking after about an hour. So I've put my full face of makeup on and everything is still looking as seamless and smooth and natural as it was earlier. I have got some powder on top, not a lot, but I have powdered. I've used powder products, cream products, everything has worked on top of it. You can see I've still got quite a bit of shine, so it hasn't gone completely flat. Obviously this is highlighter shine here. But everywhere else I've got a little bit of a glow, but it's a natural glow. It's not an over the top, I'm obviously wearing dewy makeup sort of glow. So it's doing exactly what it should do at the moment. There's no evidence of it caking or going into smile lines at the moment. It's sitting absolutely beautifully. It feels really comfortable. I'll just do a transfer check. So let's test by here. Absolutely nothing. Let's do it again here, which is the one place where I don't have other makeup. Again, absolutely nothing. So it's not transferring. I can't feel it. With minimal powder, it doesn't feel particularly tacky. It's very comfortable. This is looking like a fabulous foundation so far. But we are only 1 hour in, so let's see how this wears throughout the day. So I'll be back to see you later for a full check-in. So I'm here with a just past 8-hour check-in. Sorry it's not any later, but I did start filming late and I stayed up late enough to get this out. I can't really stay up any longer. It's my fault for starting it late. But anyway, my news on this is pretty much as successful for me as the Victoria Beckham one, which I said was the best check-in I think I've ever experienced. This isn't quite as incredible, but it's close, because it pretty much looks exactly the same, which I'm imagining you're going to notice. I think I look different because I've lost all the colour on my lips, so if you switch between my last clip of me talking and go straight to this, you'll see that difference. And when you see me talking at the end saying goodbye, you'll see me with my full makeup on, because obviously I filmed that earlier. But my skin it still looks like I've got no makeup on. I mean, obviously it does, as in my blush and my bronze and things like that, and my eye makeup and lips, but my foundation, it still looks and feels like I'm not really wearing anything. And I've zoomed in with a magnification mirror. It hasn't caked in my trouble areas. The only thing I can say, which is where it doesn't quite beat Victoria Beckham, is I can see a minute trace here in my smile lines, and I mean minute. It's really hard to spot, and it's slightly gone off my nose there, I think, as well. I think it was starting to show signs of, I thought it was, yeah, can you see a line there? That's where my glasses were when I was filming, but it's not too bad. Now keep in mind, I haven't put setting spray on, which does help with things like that, but Victoria Beckham managed to be unaffected by everything. So there's tiny, tiny things, but this basically tells me I could go out with sunglasses on and take them off and it would still look good. It's just lasted really, really well. And if I look at the side with the primer, there's no difference, so it doesn't look like my skin particularly needs it. So my skin is quite dry at the moment, but if you've got even more dry skin, this could easily work very well for you. But if it didn't and you really wanted to try it, I would suggest a hydrating primer. But for me, it looks like I don't need it because my skin is not dry at all. It still feels quite moisturised, it feels very healthy, and I do feel it's very natural. I don't feel makeup-y. The only thing I would say, which I felt from applying it and I feel now looking in the mirror, I don't feel like it's got the wow factor of Victoria Beckham or the Natasha Denona, which both, Natasha Denona did not have this wear, by the way, the new one, and it certainly wasn't as good as Victoria Beckham, but both Natasha Denona and Victoria Beckham foundations, I felt, gave me such an incredible glow. I just felt it was such a healthy, it really lifted me. It took like, I hadn't slept well when I did that review, I remember, and I just thought, wow, it's really lifted me and made me feel like I look a lot more bright than I actually am. I don't think this has done that, but what I think it has done, it's almost like corrected all my imperfections and my redness and just frozen it, and it hasn't stopped. It's just stayed exactly the same. So it's completely reliable. So if this is what you like and you want to go for that, less of a glow and just stay with a very natural look that really locks in, wears beautifully, this is a very, very, very good foundation. It is a really good one. I just love the sort of glow that I've got from recent ones, which is why I don't think it goes straight to #1 for me. I do need to use it more. I might keep playing with it and think, do you know what, it has? And I could always add something glowy. I've got quite a few glowy things I could add to this. Like, for instance, the Natasha Denona primer, which is so glowy. Something like that, I could add it to this and turn it into more of a glowy one. So I could play around with it. So on days I just want to look completely natural without too much of a glow, or if it's really sunny, or if my oils are particularly coming through that day, or if, sometimes our skin behaves differently, I could just wear it as it is. And if I really want to go more glowy, I could do something like that. So I could alter it. And I will play around with it and do different things with it. But I think it's an excellent addition to my collection, to be honest with you, because it's quite unique in what it does. So certainly not a flat matte, certainly not overly glowy, and the wear on it is absolutely fantastic. So another 10 out of 10 foundation. We are doing so well for foundations at the moment. If it wasn't for the Charlotte Tilbury failure for me, I would have had no fails for a very long time. But I feel like they're stepping up and up and up and up. This hasn't gone over Victoria Beckham, which I've only just reviewed this week. This one's the #1 for me. But wow, this one is excellent and I'm really impressed. So anyway, what do you think? How do you think it's worn? And are you tempted to try it? Is this the sort of foundation that sounds perfect for you? I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you do try it, I would love to hear how you get on with it. Anyway, Makeup by Mario is one of my favourite brands, very, very trusted, does exactly what he promises. He's very, very good at producing quite exceptional, quite unique products as well. And if he says it'll do something, in my experience, it absolutely does. He's a really, really good brand to trust. He really does know his stuff. So well done, Mario. This is really, really good. So that's it for today. I really do hope you found this helpful and you've enjoyed this review. And if you have, please do hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, I would love it ever so much if you did subscribe. But if you're already subscribed, you're at the end of another review. And I truly, truly appreciate you for being here. I honestly do. And I really hope to see all of you again for my next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.